And tonight, the Biden impeachment inquiry is heating up and heating up big time. The walls are now closing in. We have a major development tonight. House Oversight Committee Chairman James Comer has now officially subpoenaed zero experience Hunter Biden, Joe's brother James Biden, and their business associate Rob Walker for testimony as his inquiry now has gone to the next level. And joining us now, he is the chairman of the House Oversight and Accountability Committee. James Comer is with us. Sir, how are you? I asked you a while back, I said, at what point do you think it's going to be appropriate to start sending out subpoenas? And you said you wanted to get all your ducks in a row. You wanted to follow all of these suspicious activity reports and all of these shell corporations, follow the money. Do you feel you've got enough information now that you have some pretty strong questions for these guys?
I do. I think we're at the point now where we can connect the dots. We understand what the scheme was. We understand who the people were who were wiring the money. We believe we know why, but we want to hear from the Bidens. And we're at the point now where the evidence is overwhelming. And now we can bring the Bidens in and ask them substantive, specific questions about things that we have serious concerns about.
How many shell corporations have you been able to discover through your investigation that the Biden family had?
Over 20. And, you know, when you talk about James Biden, I'm not sure exactly what his businesses were. But with respect to Hunter, we're confident that these businesses did not produce a good or service. And we really have no idea what they did. Especially considering the fact that they would go months without any revenue, and then all of a sudden $1 million wire from a foreign national would appear, and then the next day they would start the laundering process where they would wire money from account to account, from shell company to shell company. You know, we see a similar pattern with Jim Biden, but we want to ask Jim Biden exactly, you know, what did you do? What are all these transactions in your so-called business, and what involvement did your brother have in these shady business schemes?
Let me go through the timeline of Burisma. We know that Hunter admitted on GMA that he had no experience in energy, oil, gas, coal, or Ukraine, and he was paid millions of dollars. Couldn't explain why, but we have a timeline. It became official Obama administration policy in October of 2015 that they felt that Ukraine had made enough progress on the issue of corruption that warranted the loan guarantees. $1 billion to be is the exact amount. We know that 5 days before Joe Biden, in December of that same year, 2015, went to Ukraine, that Joe Biden got on a phone call with his son Hunter and Burisma executives. We know this is the time when Burisma executives were begging for D.C. help. Then we know Joe leveraged that $1 billion of taxpayer money, demanded the firing of the prosecutor investigating Burisma and his son. And in fact, the son of a bee got fired in 6 hours. And as a result, Hunter continued to get paid. Is that, by definition, does that, in your view, meet the bribery standards and bribery laws of our country?
Absolutely. And you look, that's a quid pro quo. Ironically, that's what the first Trump impeachment was. All he did was ask about the corruption. We have the corruption. You just pointed it out. The timeline is there. We have Joe Biden on tape admitting that he fired the prosecutor when he threatened to withhold our tax dollars. So that timeline is a huge concern to our investigation. We also have the timeline with China, with the $40,000 that ended up in Joe Biden's pocket that originated from the WhatsApp message where Hunter threatened the Chinese operative to follow through on the commitment they made while Joe Biden was vice president.
Let me ask you, though, that WhatsApp message said, I am sitting here with my father. We're wondering why you didn't keep your commitment. And then saying, we are waiting for your call, meaning Joe and Hunter. And Joe Biden had said he never once spoke to Hunter or his brother or anybody for that matter about any foreign business deals. But that app message says that I'm sitting next to my father. Why didn't you meet your commitment? And between everybody he knows and my ability to keep a grudge, you're going to regret not keeping your word. How many days later was it, and how much money was sent into the Biden family coffers? And that, by the way, was an energy company out of China.
Yep. 5 days later, $5 million wired into a Hunter Biden affiliated entity. The next day, he wired $400,000 into the deal that we've heard Tony Bobulinski and others say was the deal where Joe Biden was going to get 10% for the big guy. That $400,000 wire a few days later ended up in a $40,000 check to Joe Biden, exactly 10% for the big guy. So Joe Biden has a China problem and he has a Ukraine problem. Now, we don't know a lot about
Doesn't he have a Russia problem too? Because didn't he meet with a Russian oligarch at Cafe Milano?
Absolutely, he has a Russian problem.
How many Biden family members got paid and how many were grandchildren? And do you know of any work that any Biden ever did for the tens of millions of dollars you've identified?
Well, if you count Joe Biden, that's 10 Biden family members. So 9 members excluding Joe. The only 2 work that may have been involved would have been Hunter and Jim Biden. That's why we're bringing them in first. There was at least 1 grandkid. There were several nieces and nephews at a very young age that were getting wires from foreign nationals. So a lot of questions, and we're at the point now where you can connect the dots, and it's time to bring the Bidens in, and that's why we issued the subpoenas today.